Hey everyone, and welcome to the Best of 3 Call of Duty Esports podcast. I'm your host, Josh. SalvationsElite to my right is Bash _Bo3 Sam, and to our farthest right, per usual, is none other than Rex Shady Nero. And guys, we have a ton to talk about today. Obviously, we've got the beginning, the final online tournament or the online major of the year.
Whoa.
We're going through all the predictions, the full bracket predictions for it. We're going through all the news of the week. Of course, talking the wild week of COD we just had, and a lot more. Before we get into that, guys, I've got to ask, what's going on?
Oh, well, Josh, I think we just can run around the track field and run circles all day saying 360 no scopes all the time until somebody comes along the track and the coach is like, what's going on here? Quit saying 360 no scope and just run the race. You're in last.
Amen, man. Tell Seattle that, though. They're trying to run this race saying 360 no scope 24/7, man. It's tough. Sam, how you doing?
Rex, was that a personal experience?
Yeah.
Well, you know, coach was riding me sometimes, man. And sometimes I got to let him know where my true allegiances lie.
Oh,
with
man.
the game, baby.
Facts.
I'm doing phenomenal.
Yeah.
I have this ginormous zit
Oh,
in
bro.
between my
The
eyebrows,
struggle's real.
and it sucks, dude.
Our
That's
next
tough.
bet, Josh, I bet that
Oh, yeah.
whatever it is, you pop his zit with your teeth.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
No,
God.
definitely not.
My
What?
Gosh, dude.
No.
I know how much we love bets here. I feel like that would be a good one.
Bro,
That's one of some
Yo.
stakes right
I
there.
feel
That's some,
like-
almost
That's some high stakes. That's some high
I
stakes.
feel like you had that locked in a vault somewhere and you pulled that out.
Yeah, I'm scared, dude.
It's real
Oh my
fast.
word! But you can watch this podcast
my-
on YouTube. You can listen on Apple Podcasts. You can listen on Spotify. You can drop a review on Apple Podcasts, a comment on YouTube. And today we're reading a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts from Dr. What 29. 5 stars, says IP in Pools
Hey,
is the name
I
of the
do pee
review
in
here.
pools.
One of the best COD Esports podcasts out there. One of what? Just 3 dudes vibing together, talking about some professional COD, better than the CODcast, no free shoutouts. And it's so good that I had to hop over hop from Spotify to come over here on Apple and leave this 5-star review. Love what they have going on here, and I look forward to it every single week. Keep up the great work, Dr. What 29, 5 stars. What a guy, man.
The direct comparison.
Yeah, I know, bro. He's calling him out. Yeesh.
I
I
was a
mean,
direct comparison. I'm kind of sketched out. Hope nothing happens.
Yeah,
to me.
I'm a little scared.
I don't know. I'm just
Facts, but
coming
man,
back out of that.
obviously a ton to talk about today with some roster stuff, some challenger stuff, league news, and a whole bunch more. Of course, CDL, the major, and more. But without further ado, let's get right into the news of the week. The Call of Duty news of the week. Alrighty, so a little bit of an interesting, weird news week, considering you have the whole weekend in there and everything else. But where should we begin? Obviously, we'll start with some of the smaller stuff. We'll lead our way into the more important stuff. But
Yeah, should we get the Huke thing out of the way since it's...
oh yeah, we can go through the old news first.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
obviously, literally immediately after we recorded our last podcast, of course, the massive nuke was dropped.
So what happens?
Huke was sent over to the LA Thieves, obviously, which you all know by now, considering we watched LA Thieves play this weekend.
Sure did.
Of course, there was a whole bunch going on. I did a video about it, but basically, Tej got dropped or benched by LA Thieves. Then everyone was like, "Oh, what's going on here?" And then Nade Shot was spotted at the Hecz cores, and everyone was like, "Okay, we know what's going on
gotta
here.
be it.
It's got to be, some LAT action with Huke." So
Yeah.
basically, Huke heads over there. Then they play against New York this weekend. So I mean, we'll talk more about LA Thieves and everything else, but that was obviously the big, massive piece of news that happened this week, obviously right after the podcast. So,
Yeah.
You know what we need to start doing?
what?
We need to start predicting the news of the week going forward.
Yes.
To really get
what's
ahead of the
gonna
game.
happen on
So
the
What's
just
gonna
in,
happen-
guys, Wednesday, right before the major,
Something's gonna
Huke
happen.
back to Dallas.
Oh,
TJ put
jeez.
back in.
Oh,
Heard it here first.
Wow.
Hastro got his refund in,
My word.
his tax returns.
Nade Shot's like, you know what?
It's fine.
Redo.
Yeah,
Undo.
it's all good.
Undo, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, literally, I don't see that'd be actually a pretty
Kind of funny.
good idea. I like it. But yeah, so that was kind of the big news of the week. Well, again, we'll talk more about that, obviously, with LAT.
Yeah.
in a little bit here, but that was the big news. Other small things that happened, obviously, this week, the CDLs in Warzone. Shout out Warzone.
Was cool.
Shout out
Dude,
Dallas
that's
Empire. That was
mad
also on the
hype.
Huke side of things. That was just kind of comedy. Did you see the video?
Yeah.
Where Huke's there sitting with his little like LAT
I know.
background.
It's like, wow.
And they're all
Brought him
trying to
back.
get hyped about it. Like,
Yeah.
yo, this is sick. And
Trying,
everything
dude.
else.
I think that, at least Clay was legitimately like, how could you not be hyped? This is big news. This is something we've never seen in COD, where it's someone's actual face and like the actual promotion of the league is
Yeah,
just
that's
like
cool.
front and center like that at the
In the
stadium
game.
in Warzone.
That's pretty cool.
This is huge. I feel like it still needs more attention because like this is something we've been like craving, I feel like, in the COD scene. And this is like, I love that we actually have like their pictures. They're the champions. It's very noticeable. I love
100%. Yeah, I agree. It is
wild.
cool. I mean, it is also a little weird that it's like themed after like 1984 or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you've got like 5 COD pros just chilling
Just
inside
chilling there.
of the map. But
Yeah.
it is dope nonetheless. And
It's
it's
amazing.
definitely
So
a step
sick.
in the right direction for COD and like integration as a whole into the game as much as possible.
Yeah.
24/7, because that's what we're all after. So yeah, that was obviously kind of fun news. Then other things, the major tournament schedule was changed to 4 days, which I think is definitely a good thing.
Thank the
Thank
Lord.
goodness. So now
Oh,
instead of
my
the
word.
Wednesday through Sunday marathon that
That
was,
was horrible.
the major tournaments, we got the 4 day schedule back now. Supposedly it was to help with the LAN schedule and just not have it be too extended with players, the long trips and everything
Oh,
for
so-
people to Dallas. So nothing too crazy there, but nice to see, I think, with a little bit more condensed weekends for us.
Mhm.
Then then obviously the big news of the week was confirmed for the dates and everything else for LAN and the details about LAN. So Arlington Esports Stadium, June 17th and 20th, LAN for stage 4 major event is booked officially, happening in Dallas. Well, Arlington. So obviously, preliminary thoughts on LAN and the effects it might have happening in Dallas. Do you foresee any major shifts potentially coming for the CDL? Obviously, the LAN, the league matches are still online.
Mhm.
So,
And
Rex,
the major's
thoughts?
being hosted by Dallas Empire.
Yeah, technically,
So
yeah.
it's like a Dallas Empire homestand
Basically, yeah.
With no fans.
with no fans. So like,
Yeah, no fans, only staff and teams and players there. So, about what you'd expect for the first LAN back. So, makes sense. But yeah, thoughts on that, Rex?
I mean, how much is LAN and online going to be different? Because
Right.
I think this is going to be like the true telling of what it actually, I guess, is looking like. Because clearly, like, fans play a part in how well a team does, I think. And I think it's very known in COD. Like, just fans can add a lot to a team's just run through
Yeah,
losers.
for sure. The
or-
pressure, the hype.
Yeah, like the fans can add so much hype to a team and like really carry them and have that energy. Now it's going to be a LAN, but no fans. So it's pure just like inner fire, but the best connection to the opponent you can have. So like there's no gimmicks really involved.
Right.
So we're really going to see, I guess, who has it, who doesn't, without the hype. Obviously, we want the fans. We want the hype. That's just a huge part of everything. But
Mhm.
this will be like the most controlled method of seeing the difference between LAN and online.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, and I'm sure too, like there's got to be like a mindset change too, like when it comes to like, you're like traveling to a stadium,
For sure.
sitting down in front of,
In front of the
your
team you're playing
teammates.
against.
Yeah. So I imagine we do see maybe we see some players,
Some
not-
breakdown, some
some-
exposure.
some breakdowns, but
Expose him.
expose. But at the same time, I feel like we're going to see similar, like
Yeah.
overall top
I agree.
4, top 5 teams still be a top 4, top 5.
I don't think
bottom
you're not going to
teams.
see any like this team was the worst team in the CDL, and then
No.
solely because of the LAN, now they're the best.
No.
It's just
Yeah.
not. That's just completely unlogical.
You may see more consistency in the top teams. That's what I predict.
Right. Yeah, 100%.
Um,
And like there may be
yeah.
something. Obviously, OpTic has been the team that has talked by far most about LAN.
Oh,
obviously,
for sure.
and we've heard it constantly, whether it's just on Twitter, on podcasts, on whatever it is. They talked a lot about it.
Let's see
It's
the
hard to-
difference. Let's
right.
see the difference. That's what I'm excited.
Mhm.
You
for.
know, and maybe it'll just come down to like how much energy they're able to bring on a consistent basis, and it'll give them a little just bit more consistency in their play as a whole, which might
But
matter.
this is an OpTic. Yeah, it's LAN, but there's no fans.
Right.
And as we know, the fans are very OpTic focused.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like it is a tournament and it's on LAN, like when they're playing it. So I think it'll matter. It'll be interesting. But again, you're still going to see them playing online throughout all of the next few weeks, just for the league matches. So it's just going to be really, really interesting as a whole. So I don't know. Any other thoughts as a whole for that before we go into it? They did say that they're still hoping to have fans for champs. But there's going to be no fans for stage 4 or stage 5.
Yeah.
So we're still holding it out. We would love for it to happen. We all want to be there.
It would be great.
I want to have a barbecue, like a tailgate.
Tailgate. I mean, the Airbnbs, like it'd just be such good vibes.
Such a good vibe.
Anybody listens to the pod, you're welcome to the tailgate.
That'd be a blast.
We'd love to meet some of you guys.
It would be a blast.
Yeah.
It'd be a blast.
Some of you guys.
It'd be awesome for sure.
All of them.
Every single one, baby. 100%. But yeah, it's going to be a good time, man. And I'm definitely looking forward to it. So basically, other things, we can talk about the standings here a little bit later.
Yeah.
I guess you want to talk challengers real quick?
Yeah.
Sure, why not?
Why not?
Obviously, the Elite Championship happened this week as well. And in the NA side, EastR looked really, really good. They took it home. And obviously that was highlighted by John's performance in the championship.
Big boy John.
Where he looked great. Dropped like nearly a 40 bomb, like 39 kills in the control map, and then played great in the hard point as well in Moscow. And good, obviously, that's John, Sib, Gravity, and Jerd. And like, I was watching the finals and I was like, man, they look great. And Sib was going off at moments. John was going off at moments. Both of them looked fantastic. And it's like, you just continue to watch them. You're like, how are these guys not on a team, And it is pretty mind blowing. And you still look at that Seattle roster and you're like, all right, I don't know. We'll see. Obviously, Floor's been playing better lately, so we'll see what happens with them. But I don't know, man. On the EU side then, we had the team of Chaxter, Pyro, Josh, and Shadows. Team Amelia win the EU side of things, which I think was a pretty big surprise for a lot of people. And it was just a really interesting overall tournament. And the finals was a ton of fun to watch, and I really, really enjoyed the whole thing. Obviously, shout out that whole crew who was doing that. Shift always is organizing all that crap too. So he's always doing such a good job with that. I thought Shift had a really, really interesting set of tweets there because he tweeted out the average placings of players currently in challengers.
I did see that. About
guys who, currently aren't in the CDL. And then he also compared to guys who were in a CDL. I thought it was a really, really interesting comparison about some of the guys that are just have some insane placements. That's led currently by Gravity. There's like a 5.92 average placement. Pentagram's at number 2 at 6.5. Pander at 8.19. GodRx at 8.19 as well. And then Rex at 8.5. Phantoms at 8.94. So it's kind of like your top 6 or so. Then Mayhem, Kismet, Royalty in general round out the top 10 as well. So really, really some interesting names there inside the top 10 for average placings. And then in the EU, shout out Hixie with the highest average placing. Hixie, Payne, Josh, Vortex, Nasty, Lucky, Metals, Journey. And then kind of rounds out your top 6. Oh,
wow,
the whole Spanish
EU
team there.
Scene is way more consistently placing at those high.
Yeah, the top players.
Than NA.
And then the APAC team, you have 1.57, 1.57, Shocks, Fida, Luca, Pred, and then they're all just dominating. So it is really, really interesting to see. And then when you compare that to some of the average placings of guys who had joined the CDL, so you even compare that to guys like Zaptius and Venom, who, of course, the Western team, who had Zaptius had the highest out of all the guys who are currently in CDL at 6.42. And then Venom at 7.3, Paul X at 7.3, and Decimate at 7.67, compared to the highest, who's Gravity right now. So it is interesting. I mean, Gravity, obviously, man, it sucks to be a main AR nowadays. That's for sure.
There's just too many.
There is. There's just too many. And then you compare that to guys like right now, Slacked and Fire have been having some success in the challenger scene.
Yeah.
Where, obviously they haven't played very many tournaments.
Smaller sample size.
A 4.0 for Slack to 4.67 for Fire on the season. So it gets pretty interesting. I think, just from those stats, obviously it stands out. Gravity, Pentagram, really are the two that stand out the most as really impressive placements. And they've been great in the CDL in challengers for years. So shout out Shift for doing that, digging up that research. You got to love that.
Gotta love it, Shift.
Well, thoughts as a whole on, we do need to talk a little bit some of the other roster stuff that was talked about as well with the CDL. The other little rumor for the CDL was that Octane had mentioned that Surge had tried to pick up Vivid and it didn't go through. They weren't able to come to an agreement. And basically just had to fall through, and then they settled with Decimate at the end of the day. So, I mean, tough stuff as a whole for Seattle. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, do you think that who was being the cheapskate in that deal? Was it Seattle? Was it LAG? If you had to guess, what do you think was the issue?
I can only imagine it was Seattle. Just because the way that it was in Modern Warfare, like they barely made any. I mean, I guess they made roster changes,
but just for their current subs.
Yeah, just with their current subs, like they weren't trying to spend extra money. And LAG, from what I understand, are like they're super rich. At least I think. Yeah. I could be completely off.
The owner is really, really wealthy. Kronk? What's his name?
Or something? Gronk?
I think it's
But
Kronk.
like they own the St. Louis Rams. Like, is it the Rams they own?
Well, yeah, the LA Rams.
LA Rams, yeah.
It used to be St. Louis. And they own Arsenal as well.
Wow.
So, I mean, but all the Arsenal people hate him because he's a cheapskate, even though he's worth billions of dollars. So, I don't know. Yeah, it is a little weird.
Cheapskate in soccer is pretty hefty, probably. And COD, so.
For sure.
Like, I suppose, too, like, LAG want to get a good buyout for him, too. But, like, if you're not going to use him.
I mean, yeah, he probably had a pretty steep contract already, you know? And so I would imagine Seattle is like, yo, he already has a big contract. We'd rather not pay a buyout for him. So you want to do some sort of trade or like technically release him or something along those lines. We're down, but we're not going to pay some buyout, you know? I don't know. That would be a tough situation, I guess. And that's probably why it's just easier to go for a guy like Decimate. Probably the same reason why Sib's still in the challenger scene as well. Probably. And this is going to be probably a future debate about whether players are willing to sign substitute contracts or whether they, you know, want to just try their luck in challenger scene, especially when we have the expansion teams next year. Mm-hmm. So it is going to be interesting. I don't know. Yeah. Probably something to consider with guys just really getting screwed here after they get benched or when they're signed to subs. It's interesting. So yeah, any other thoughts there, I guess, with Vivid? Do you think that would have helped Seattle more than Decimate?
I don't know. I don't know how much more of an upside it would have been, especially for what possibly Vivid's cost is.
But just as a straight up performance situation,
I
think it would help them more personally. I really do like Vivid a lot.
For sure in the short term. I still think, you know, we need to see Decimate in the Pro League more.
Right.
But no, I 100% agree.
So far, it's been a little meh.
Yeah. I 100% agree Vivid would have sparked this team more than Decimate has right now.
Yeah. I agree.
That's the best I can say.
I agree. But yeah,
I'm kind of with that, honestly. Yeah, I think Vivid could have added a lot more to the team.
I mean, they just need upside slang, and Vivid at least provides the potential for that, even like with Persini on the roster, with how they could potentially play together with their pacing and how fast they are as a core. So that would be at least really, really interesting and something we haven't seen with two players that play that fast. Besides, technically like in engagements per minute compared to their teammates. So it could be really, really fun. I would have really liked to see it. It's a shame it didn't work out, but yeah, we'll see. I guess that shows that maybe LAG is willing to part with Vivid if the price is right. So pay attention to Florida. That's kind of that's the team for sure. So
Paris, maybe.
We'll see. Yeah, maybe. Other spicy news. Basically, the Hecz stuff from today was kind of weird. There was like the whole tweet drama with him calling out like a social media dude that used to work for LA OpTic. Mm-hmm. Basically, the guy had LA OpTic in his like former OpTic was something along those lines in his Twitter. And then Hecz was like, former OpTic, huh? Or whatever, something along those lines. It was weird. I don't know. Any thoughts on that as a whole?
It seems like we see like some of these are just like weird random off tweets from these owners. And it's just like, why even bother?
It is a little weird.
I'm sure we don't understand the amount of crap they go through every day, like on Twitter. So I'm sure it's just one of the things where it's like every once in a while they just like let go and like rage tweet a little bit. So, you know, that's understandable, but it's just like he did work for OpTic. Like he was formerly OpTic. To call him like not OpTic because you weren't there.
I could see the issue with like the Hecz to be like you're using it for clout, but like it doesn't hold the clout that you're trying to use it for.
Yeah.
But like, is it really? Yeah, it is a tough situation there.
Someone's trying to have to make a career. I mean, they have a career already. They're already working for an organization as a social media manager. For FaZe. And then they have like, I don't know. I would. It seems weird to kind of go and attack that, but I don't even think Hecz was attacking it.
It was probably more of a satire joke than anything.
I mean, Hecz was just, he's just talking shit. Like, and then I feel like it kind of probably maybe went a little more than what was expected. Because why did this even happen? He posted a meme
about Simp versus OpTic.
To be honest with you, I don't even understand the meme. I don't know what this show's from.
It's an old cartoon. Yeah,
it's an old cartoon, but like, I guess I don't know. I just don't know who the characters are, and I didn't watch the cartoon, so I didn't. Whatever.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Either way,
it is a little weird for sure.
Seems a little strong.
But in other Hecz news, though, that the rumor came out this week that the rumor was that Hecz is trying to acquire OpTic Chicago for himself again, which is a little weird considering the situation with NRG right now. I mean, I have always thought that it was kind of like an odd situation with NRG and OpTic where they were so separate, where the NRG content never even acknowledged OpTic and OpTic would really never acknowledge NRG.
No.
Which I get they're trying to like create the separate brands, but it did always kind of feel a little odd. That was a report from Deserto and maybe from, at least from for sure, Deserto. I don't know. Thoughts on that?
I think it was an easy way for NRG to go into the COD scene if they wanted to. Like they have Hecz. Hecz probably went to them and was like, hey, can I just do my own thing? I'll do the COD stuff just under your brand. And I'll get the guys. I'll organize all that and just let me run this. And I feel like they have a pretty good relationship. I don't know if any sort of animosity was created because of him trying to separate, but I feel like everyone knew from the get-go that this was possibly the trend things were going to go if we got OpTic back.
Yeah, it is a little weird. The only thought that I had noticed, I don't know, when is the last time the NRG duo their little podcast together has uploaded?
It's been a while. I really liked that podcast.
It was really good. I actually liked kind of the idea of focusing on the business aspect of things. And they haven't uploaded in a while. I don't know if that has any correlation at all.
They weren't uploading like way before this was even, I feel like, being talked about. Maybe behind closed doors they were talking about it.
Yeah.
But like before this hit social media.
Oh, the article mentioned it. Yeah, the article said, okay, yeah. So they said it hasn't uploaded since November of 2020. That would be a little bit weird. I mean, we don't know who Hecz would, if Hecz, I mean, there's no way Hecz is sitting on $25 million on his own, right?
Well,
I'm sure it's private investors.
I mean, you'd have to be some private investors with him as the head of the organization, right?
Probably.
So it would be like letting him make sole decisions on brand building and things like that. So it is interesting. I wonder why Hecz wants to do it.
Why not?
Like,
he wants his own brand back, and I think he probably wants to get into other esports. Halo.
See, I guess that's probably that. You're right. That's what it is. Because he was able to have the workaround of what FaZe did. He wants to do what FaZe is doing. He wants to have the COD team with the FaZe brand, with the OpTic brand, and then have OpTic Gaming. I would imagine he wants to buy the Halo team. That's what I would imagine is happening here.
I mean, here's the thing: we can talk Halo, but I think Halo Infinite could really pop off as a league. As a pro scene,
it's going
with
to.
Esports Engine heading its league, it's very possible with how much support they're going to have.
Yeah,
it is really interesting. I'd be surprised. I mean, Halo sucks, so that's the thing. That's puts in a tough spot.
I think Halo Infinite is going to take when Halo Infinite comes out. Everybody's going to be playing that. I have feelings that it could end up being like back when like Halo 2, Halo 3, sort of like the feeling you got. It could be another wave of like
you're really hyping this thing up. I'm
pretty excited for it. I think there's going to be like an actual league with it that people are going to be invested in.
I'm biased,
and
who
knows?
Flops.
Maybe we'll see some COD pros.
We need some competition. Okay.
Going back over to Halo, aka possibly Neptune. Getting ahead of the news now. News of the week. This is for a few weeks down the line. Neptune declares that he's going back to Halo to play Pro Halo in Infinite.
How about
there
Shotzi?
You go. Good
you
call
heard it here
there,
first.
How about Shotzi? Did the same thing.
Oh, if Empire falls apart,
he just goes back to Halo.
Huke and Shotzi go back to Halo.
Neptune.
Neptune, Huke, and Shotzi team.
And Formal.
H for F.
There's the future news
There's
right
the
there.
team right there.
Could you imagine?
Oh, I'd be so happy.
That would be devistating.
That'd be crazy.
Wow, that'd be horrible. That'd be tough. That would be really tough for COD.
Yeah.
That's gotta be what it is, right? He wants to do what FaZe is doing and be the COD brand / console esport thing and rock that and get back to what what made OpTic. I'd imagine that's what it is. Definitely. And he sees how well the OpTic content just in general is doing, right?
Yeah. And like, I'm sure like he'll get a good chunk of change for divesting from NRG too as well. Like, once he sells his shares in NRG, he can use that to
just put it all into OpTic.
Put it all in OpTic too.
Yeah, that's a weird situation. I don't know if he technically how much of a co-owner he is in OpTic because he was just a co-CEO.
Yeah.
So I wonder how much to actual share he had. It is interesting. Yeah. And whether or not NRG do you think it's going to happen?
I'd say yeah, for sure. It's got to happen.
It'll happen, I think.
Before Halo Infinite comes out, I bet it happens.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he wants a Halo Infinite team.
I mean, it only makes sense that that same squad ends up back on on the OpTic team.
I don't know if the same squad. I mean, they're on Sentinels right now, and Sentinels, as far as I know, are kind of killing it in a lot of esports.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like if you offer those guys the OpTic spot back with like, yo, we're all in on this again, and it's Hecz running it, we're not going to screw you over like last time, then I'd imagine they'd be willing, at least some of them will be willing to come back. But like
depends on the paycheck.
You almost wondered too, like the Gears team too.
Yeah, that Gears team could come back too. Yeah. But that esport is struggling.
It is struggling hard.
It is struggling.
It's fun to watch, but it is struggling.
It's struggling, but we'll see. All right. So other stuff there, basically nothing too crazy. Sledgehammer was confirmed as the 2021 COD developer.
AW2, baby.
So, people still debating the AW2 v Vanguard, which everything's pointing towards Vanguard at this point. So we'll see. The fictional history type game set after World War II.
Yes, yeah. That's what it was.
So we'll see. Definitely interesting. So the last piece of news, I guess, was the Atlanta v Chicago server debate. Was the last kind of newsy piece of the week. Thoughts on the situation? Obviously, at the end of the day, to give a little like summary, basically what went down was that there was an email that sent out to all the teams talking about they kind of changed up the server process recently about what matches will be played on what servers, and it's kind of just decided mutually or whatever. Basically, it was. They made a mistake. The CDL made a mistake with a typo saying that it was going to get played in the Atlanta server for the Atlanta OpTic match. OpTic didn't check the email. Envoy said he should have checked it. He was on the flank talking about it and said that they should have checked it. But at the same time, he just assumed that the CDL would do what's the most fair and they play on the St. Louis servers like they did last time when they played, and it was just fine for both teams. FaZe knew about it. They didn't say anything. They were just like, oh, CDL deals with this. I guess that's what it is. And they just said if OpTic didn't had a problem with it, they'd probably just say something. Yeah. So, of course, FaZe didn't bring it up. It was like, well, this is great for us.
Yeah.
Anyway, when you get into the match, OpTic ended up having about a 20 ping disadvantage, which is definitely significant. And they got steamrolled. They didn't just get beat. They got destroyed.
They got bamboozled.
I mean, absolutely smoked. 100-point clubbed and 3-0'd in the control.
Yeah, it was rough.
It was tough.
It was quick.
Envoy broke the record for the worst match KD ever in a CDL.
0.4 something.
0.4 something.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
And tough, down bad for OpTic fans and for OpTic. But yeah, I mean, before we talk about that match specifically, just thoughts on the server situation, Rex.
I mean, Envoy kind of said it. Just got told the CDL host selected the wrong server in our match because of a typo in an email. 1000% not why we lost, but that is unfucking acceptable. And then Clayster says,
"Wow,
tried to warn you in the rep chat 3 days ago, brother." So. It is what it is. I mean, I'm not going to be like, oh, if they're on different servers, completely different ball game. FaZe don't steamroll them like they did. I think FaZe probably still wins.
Oh, for sure.
Probably wins in a similar fashion.
Right. Maybe it's not a 3-0. Maybe it's a 3-1. Maybe it's like 250, 202, or 3-2 or 3-1. But it does feel like FaZe had every advantage in that.
Oh, yeah, no.
I mean... There were moments, though, where you're like, yo, what bullets are FaZe shooting? Because there was actually some insane kills in that series.
Well, I mean, FaZe was like 11 ping, and then OpTic was getting 30 ping?
Yeah, so it was like a 20-ish ping difference.
Yeah, so I don't know.
At a pro level, that matters.
It makes a difference, but not like, to get steamrolled like that. Difference.
Right, what pros are saying is like it's a quad host where it's like not just favoring one player. Like you normally, if you're hosting... on like a series, one guy has a massive advantage. Yeah. But in this situation, all three of them had a huge advantage. All four of them had a huge advantage. Yeah. And that was shown during the series where I think 3 of the 4 members in that series got streaks during the respawns. And Abizi had multiple 5 streaks, near streaks.
Yeah.
So it's like, wow. It was just one of the most dominant series I've ever seen a team play.
It was actually incredible.
So it's like, it does make sense that there was like an added advantage in that series just because it was like so insane. You're like watching this like, they can't die.
No.
What is happening?
They were just like inhuman.
Yeah.
I mean, it was.
At least to me, it made a lot more sense seeing that afterwards. So, alrighty. Well, I guess we can just hop into a little bit of the breakdown before we get into our predictions and talk about just overall our thoughts on the weekend and some of the big highlights. So, without further ado, let's get right into the breakdown of this week 3.
Trash. Garbage.
Alrighty, very fitting from Envoy. Some trash.
Oh, poor guy.
Some garbage.
Shoot.
That point 4 coming back to bite him. No. But all right, so let's talk about this. Let's talk about this weekend because there were some wild matches this weekend. Obviously, with the Spice, some heavy hitting matchups this weekend to talk about. So, what was your overall thoughts on the weekend? I mean, what came to mind for you? What was the biggest surprise, Rex?
Hail Hydra.
Hail Hydra. He's wearing the hoodie and he's hailing Hydra. Thoughts on New York, man? They looked really, really freaking good. Jeez.
New York is looking great. I'm really happy. I feel like the duo, like the Asim and Clayster, like vibes duo.
Yeah.
Like
they are the ultimate vibes right now.
Like accelerate that team to
it's
new
actually
heights,
ridiculous.
which they have done. Like everybody is playing out of their minds, and it's just amazing to see. And Hydra is just a gunner, man. Like he's insane. They all are. They all do crazy stuff, and I love it. And they have the right, I feel like, chemistry, like composition to really make things move in their direction.
For sure. Yeah, I agree. I mean, no free shout outs, but again, on the flank, they had the whole Dallas team on after that win after LA Thieves match, I think. And
the whole Subliners team on.
Yeah, the whole, what did I say? The whole Subliners team. And Asim was talking about how he said that he's really developed his comms since he joined the league basically at the beginning. I didn't realize that he had never played a respawn when he said when I joined FaZe, I'd barely ever played respawn. I'm like, jeez. What?
Oh, that's
so crazy. Like, that is insane. So he didn't really know how to have like those in-game comms, and it was an interesting convo with Asim there about that. And like, yeah, I mean, realistically, when you hear those listen-ins with New York, and when you hear like how they've been playing, and you hear Asim talk about it, even in the post-game press conferences, I mean, it's like his comms are on point. He looks great, and his communication with Clay in game as kind of like co-in-game leaders with that squad is really impressive. So
the thing
New
is,
York's
they're
rolling.
all playing their part. They're all contributing. I feel like even Hydra is contributing in a lot. Like, you'll go to a listen to, you pretty much always will hear Hydra talking in it.
Yeah,
and like,
it's impressive.
It just like the way they are able to play trays and just play as a unit, but still move so fast, but still play as a like team is really impressive to me.
For sure. I agree.
It looks like chaos, but then you listen in and you see how they're moving. You're like, dude, they are like going so fast, but they're still playing together so well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the thing that makes New York super scary too, though, is like Clayster is like a top player too. Like, not only are the
right, he had a little bit of a struggle, but now he's playing good.
He's playing phenomenal. So you literally have all 4 players scary when it comes to like slaying out, and it's like, what in the world? New York for sure is just one of those teams where at any time they could win. They can win the whole thing.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
it's the Clayster effect, baby. It's the Clayster effect.
Pretty much is.
I mean, we talked about it a lot heading into that after that change with Hydra about how this could potentially unlock Mac as a flex, and you looked at just the straight up stats perspective, not even looking at actual footage. I mean, just from stats, you're like, wow. I mean, the stats show how much better Mac has been as a flex this year. And then you go back and watch the footage, and you're like, man, he's looking great as a flex. And you bring in Hydra, and now Mac looks great. And it really was the definition of bringing in one guy that let the roles fall into place and took them a little bit to find their groove, but they look fantastic, man. At least in respawns.
Yeah.
and we'll see what happens inside of the major.
Their
We'll talk about
S&Ds are
that a
getting
little bit
better.
later.
Their S&Ds are getting better.
Well, sure. I mean, yeah, they looked very, very good these last two matches against LAT and OpTic in Search and Destroy. So I agree with that for sure. And yeah, I mean, we'll talk a lot more about them in a little bit for sure. But they were really, really surprising. So obviously, alongside with New York, we saw OpTic play this weekend. And it wasn't pretty. I mean, they were kind of the other team that you have to highlight, and we probably have a lot of conversation about. But they continue to disappoint people. And I mean, I just put out a power rankings video today, and a lot of comments. I had OpTic at 5, and people were like, OpTic at 5? Way too high. And I'm like, what? The people are this low on OpTic at this point? So where are you guys at with OpTic and this team now after 3 straight losses to LA Thieves 3-1, lost to Subliners 3-1, and then 3-0'd by FaZe. Obviously, the match we just talked about. What comes to mind for you with this team when it comes to the biggest problem that they have?
It's got to be their hard point setups, man. It's I don't know what it is.
Their coordination is
terrible. Like, the thing that is kind of baffling too is like, they can get important kills. Like, you'll see them be able to break.
Right.
But then
you'll see the pop, like the 3-piece that someone pops off.
But then they cannot hold anything.
Yeah.
And it's like they just break down so fast. And to me, that's just that. To me, it shows they have the individual skill. Obviously, they can at any point pop off, but they're not communicating or they're not playing off each other. Or I guess I just don't know what it is that's just breaking them down so hard.
I mean, they're on a 5 hard point losing streak.
Yeah.
And they lost 2 of the 3 controls. They beat the Subliners on checkmate to force a game 4. But yeah, they lost checkmate hard point to Thieves, then Apocalypse hard point to Thieves, then Apocalypse hard point to Subliners, Moscow hard point to Subliners, and then the 100 point clubbed by FaZe on Raid. Yeah, Rex, what are your thoughts?
I think OpTic have a lot of anxiety within the team. I think they're, in a way, they fear more about the fans and social media's perception of them as individuals and them as a team more than they care about the actual, almost like, that's
outcomes?
what drives them wanting to win, is that they care about, it's a fear-based drive, not a internal drive. That's the sense that I get. Obviously, I'm just, eyeballing this. But that's the feeling that I get from this team, because like, they are good individually. They do not play as a cohesive unit. And when I look at them and the way they're playing, they just seem scared. Like, they're almost like they're just freaked out of their mind. Like, something goes right. It's almost like you can see them shaking. Like, okay, like, this is not good. So, like, not that this isn't good, but like, we have to hold this. Like, it's just so panic stricken. It's just what it feels like. I could be way off, but that's the vibe I get. I feel like that's the issues with this team. Is nothing to do with them as individual players. Has nothing to do with the coaching staff. I think they just have the wrong mindset of how they're envisioning this team and how they want to win, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting. I do think there is some sort of aspect to it with the FaZe series where there's going to be a little bit of an overreaction. I mean, just because the maps were so bad, like they were. I mean, they obviously terrible. I mean, they looked horrible. But like they did have to play FaZe on Moscow, who was what 6-0 going or 7-0 going into that series. I can't remember, but they, because they have an auto veto. This is always the problem with having an auto veto in Search and Destroy. I talked about this in my breakdown video, but they auto veto Miami every series. There's no strategic workarounds with Search and Destroy for them. And they've auto vetoed it since they got 6-0'd by FaZe in the first week of a map. So, I mean, at some point, you've got to start playing Miami if you're OpTic, or they're just waiting and hoping that Miami's the map that's taken out when standoff comes in.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what they're aiming for. But, like, I don't know. I think it's more likely that checkmate gets removed. And there's just some major question marks there for OpTic for me heading into this weekend. Do you see any short-term solution for them in the next few days heading into a stage, heading into the major? Is it a motivational thing? I mean, obviously that match with FaZe was insanely important. I mean, there was a lot riding on that match.
Yeah.
And like Arshady said, yeah, we felt like we've been a little flat lately. And he talked about that. Was that in the post-game interview? I can't remember. But he mentioned it at some point where he said, like, I feel like we've been flat lately. And we treated this one like it was a big time tournament match. And they were scary. So I don't know. Thoughts on OpTic? What's the turnaround for them?
Man, short term, I don't know. I feel like this is a long term where they've got to figure out who they are, and like I don't mean like some like deep philosophical thing, but like more just like how they play off each other and their roles and such.
Right.
Because we know we've seen them play off each other so well, and like they can easily do it, but I think it's just one of those mid-year slumps where they're just in a rut where they can't figure it out, and they're not playing off each other, and they're not shooting off each other, they're not trading kills,
right.
They're not in the places where they should be, and they're just kind of ego challenging their way through the maps.
It does feel like, sorry to cut you off, but it does feel like there is, I agree with you, Rex, that there is some sort of like psychological thing here when it comes to their approach to each match, where it doesn't feel like they think these matter that much. Is that fair? Is that fair? Is that just writing off their poor play? Because
I mean, I think
they're
know
just like
that
there's
they
an
matter.
online.
I mean, like, and it's like obviously you're gonna go into these like they don't matter so much because it's not a tournament. And I think it's just something that's gonna plague everybody. So I don't think they're alone in thinking like that. I think
that's my thing.
They don't have this idea of like these matter. Like, I think there's just something. I mean, I think there's something deeper at play here.
Yeah,
than
I agree.
Just like them being like these matches don't matter. I think they're telling themselves these matches matter a ton, and that these matches mean everything. But the root of why they're saying that, I think, is where it's going wrong.
Okay. Yeah.
Is what I mean, you know.
I mean, again, their last 3 losses were to the debatably top 4 teams. I mean, LA Thieves, Subliners, and FaZe, depending on what you think of LA Thieves.
Yeah.
But at the time, when that was pre-Huke, they were a top 4 team playing that well. So, you know, are we overreacting to the losses? Obviously, though, OpTic's, at the same time, OpTic's goal is to beat these teams, and they're not doing it. So that's where the questions come into play. Although some people are overreacting like this team is a bottom 4 type team right now. I just don't think that's the case at all.
I don't think it is either.
So we'll see. We'll talk about them more here in a little bit, but you know, I guess that's kind of where we're at with OpTic right now. So other big storylines, obviously, with Seattle with Decimate's debut this weekend. Not the ideal debut for Decimate at all so far this weekend. So thoughts on what you saw with Seattle this weekend, where this team could move going forward, the potential that they have. What are your thoughts about this Surge squad? Rex?
I think they look better. Like,
100%.
So, like, I don't think their switch was totally for naught. I think they'll be able to. We'll have to see how they improve, I guess, as a team unit. I think they did look better, but I don't know. Like, no one else's play really got elevated from it. It just seems like a singular person came in who was just a tiny bit better in certain ways that fit the team more than I guess Looney did. But it still seems like there's some sort of, I don't know, connection issue.
Yeah.
But
super
early on with this team, and they played an amazing team. So, like, you know, I'll give them time.
Yeah, I mean, they got 3-1 by FaZe. They got 3-1 by London. I mean, but those hard points against London were horrible.
Weren't even close.
Horrible. I mean, they got smoked. And the thing is that London hasn't been like some dominant hard point team as of late either. So like that's where the questions come into play there.
Yeah.
They got 100. They got a 100-point club by Garrison. They nearly got a 100-point club on Moscow. It was ugly. And then they couldn't win an offense on Garrison control. I don't know, man. I agree with you, Rex, that it's like the situation here was that they needed to bring in a transformational player here to really elevate this team. And it doesn't feel like Decimate's that. Like they needed their Hydra. They needed their Standy to really get to that top 6. Because the only other changes that we've seen work are you bring in an extremely talented SMG who then unlocks your flex to play even better. But at this point, Decimate hasn't like enabled Gunless to play better or enabled any of the other players to play really better. If anything, it's been a horizontal move with maybe, like you said, a slight improvement with you're slaying SMG or a support SMG role. So it's like, okay, I mean, maybe you can be a little bit more consistent, game in and game out, but are you sacrificing performance and search and destroy for that consistency? But even then, they won an Express against London and they won a hard point against FaZe.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. What are your thoughts, Sam?
Yeah. I mean, I don't see this team turning around like crazy. I can definitely see though, like where, Decimate and Pristini figure each other out more and like play with each other. And I do believe Decimate has a higher skill ceiling than Looney currently. It is hard to like. Looney for sure was underperforming. Like that's just
especially like just in overall just gunfight to gunfight.
Exactly.
When it comes to slang.
Decimate definitely has the ability to outslay people
and consistently be around a 1+ KD.
Exactly. So it's just a matter of can they figure it out as a team? Can him and Pristini figure out the pacing? Because Pristini is definitely an extremely fast player, and so I really do hope this team does start to click, but I don't know, man. This could be another bad year for Seattle, unfortunately, if they don't find that one player.
Yeah, that's fair.
If Seattle has another bad year, if Seattle keeps performing at the level they're performing at, like still just not winning, do you think they make another roster change?
I think they'd want to. I don't know if they'll be able to. I mean, it has to happen pretty quick here. It would have to happen. Like, let's say they get smoked in the first series here against LAG, then you've got to consider it. I mean, you have to. You have to either be like, it depends how they've been playing in scrims. If scrims, what are you going to say?
The thing that's hard is like, I feel like nobody on that team is like playing. I feel like Gunless is playing well. I feel like Octane plays well. I think Pristini plays well. Decimate with playing, like, it seems like nobody's really playing terrible. It just seems like it's like they're not playing well at the right times.
Yeah.
Together.
I mean, literally some maps Gunless plays great. Some maps he gets absolutely dumped on. And like, it's just like, it feels like there's no rhyme or reason connected between hardpoint or control for why that's the case. They still lost their controls. It's just like there's a lot of problems here. It feels like this is not getting fixed quick. And if I'm them, I'm looking for as many possible solutions here and trying out 2-week contracts until someone clicks. True. At this point, I'm full sending. I don't know, man. It definitely scares me a little bit, but I don't know.
You do what Ravens did, and like Ravens brought in like 1 million people, and now they're a team that I feel like is pretty scary to play against.
Yeah. And if they finally settled on a team where it looks like they're slowly finding that improvement in that groove, which is that's definitely important. So it does get interesting for sure. So, okay. I mean, I feel like it's a pretty decent spot. We'll talk more about them in a little bit. LA Thieves, Huke's debut. Obviously against New York, they lost 3-1. What do you feel like you saw from this team? Is there still potential with this team to make something happen in the future? Obviously, again, small sample size, 1 series.
Yeah.
They won the raid control against New York. They lost in a round 11 on Miami. It was right there for them to win it. Subliners clutched up with a little bit of ice. Played that really, really well. I was really impressed with how the Subliners played that S&D.
Yeah.
But thoughts on the Huke situation?
We saw so many 100-point clubs this week.
I know. Yeah. That was the thing. That map on the Garrison for the Subliners, it started off so good.
Yeah.
And like Huke made some big time plays early, and you're like, all right, this is what you like to see from LA Thieves. And then it was just a downhill spiral of just dominance.
It was just chaining hills over and over.
Just constantly, just like you could just feel the chemistry from New York just oozing in that map especially. But I don't know. Thoughts on Huke?
Yeah. Small sample size. You give them some time to mesh with Venom. I think they're going to be okay. Truly. We already know the core of this team. Venom, Kenny and Draza. Kenny and Draza have been making amazing plays,
right,
in their AR roles.
Definitely a little bit tougher series for Draza there.
Exactly. So, part of me thinks this was kind of a very hard first game or first match, I should say, for Huke, but I don't know. I don't foresee like this being a trend for them.
Yeah.
I thought this is a team that's going to be only getting better. you have all the pieces in place. Again, it's kind of like OpTic. You had that outstanding slaying power and ability.
Yeah. You got to put the puzzle together.
Can they play together? So.
Yeah, that's fair. Rex?
Yeah, it feels like LA Thieves is sort of like that wall that if you can beat LA Thieves, then you're probably in the upper echelon of teams. And if you're losing to them, it just means you failed to break that wall. And you have to play those other teams and get better until you can beat LA Thieves. LA Thieves just seems like that. They're not the final boss, but they're like that, mid-game boss that's really the turning point of everybody.
Yeah.
You can beat LA Thieves, your team's on the turn, like your team's on the up.
That's funny.
I love it.
That's how I feel about LA Thieves. Do I think they can? I feel like they're improving at the pace where they're gonna keep being that. I don't know. You know what? LA Thieves could be really good.
Yeah.
As long as they can get, I feel like their organization as a squad more nailed down.
Right.
Which I feel like we've yet to see at all. So
yeah, no, what's interesting is
if
I feel like
they can do that, then they could become, they could win champs. They could become a second place team at champs. It's there.
I agree. It's just like when you replace Tej, you felt like that chemistry was just kicking in with Tej and Venom.
Sure.
They were finally finding that groove as an SMG duo or a pair there. And then you bring in Huke, who again does like to play a little bit more isolated, especially in Search and Destroy. And so it can get a little bit more difficult. So I agree. This might take a little bit more time. And that's why it's so hard. We're about to get into these predictions. It's so hard to nitpick this team, especially in some of these matchups when you have one series to go off of. And it was a Miami Search and Destroy, the only S&D they played. And there's just a lot of factors there. You're like, man, this is so hard to predict, but it's going to be interesting. I do like the long-term perspective of LA Thieves, but we'll see what happens in this major. So you guys got any other thoughts about this weekend, or do we just go on to get into these predictions?
You just shoot for it. Go for it. Shoot for it.
That's the energy we like to see, Sam.
What in the world? Shoot for it.
Let's just let it fly. All right, without further ado, let's get right into it. Let's get it. Okay, man, this is going to be wild. I mean, I am beyond hyped for this weekend. I know some people, I feel like it feels like the public perception is that it's not as energized because it's the last LAN event or the last online, so it doesn't matter, blah, 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 blah. I don't know, man. I'm still really excited for this one. We're going to learn a lot about some of these really good teams and finally get to see, hopefully, Toronto v FaZe and like LA Thieves again with Huke and OpTic, what this team actually is, and London and Paris and Florida. There's just so many things we're going to learn this weekend, and I'm excited to hear what you guys have to say about these teams. So with that said, should we just start out hot and just start out with this spicy first round? Here's the bracket for you guys watching on YouTube. We got it rocking and rolling over here. And FaZe and Dallas face off in the first round. Florida and Thieves face off in the winner side. Then on the loser side, we got LAG v Seattle and London versus Paris happening as well. So on Thursday, this time we're getting all 4 matches. Thank goodness.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we're getting all 4 of those matches on Thursday. And then on Friday, we'll get the next round of matches. So it's primed to be a spicy, spicy weekend, and I am very much looking forward to it. So with that said, let's finally get into this first pick. FaZe v Dallas start off real hot here. Rex, lead the way. What are your beliefs about these squads? Dallas looked pretty good in their last match against the Rocker. Illy was starting to fry, man. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, they are looking better. But I'm still going to take FaZe on this one.
Oh, yeah.
3-1.
Yeah.
How do you not pick FaZe here?
Yeah, I mean, that's the debate. So I guess we can kind of have like our big philosophical discussions. Philosophical discussions about these teams right here. But like I said, I guess I'll just interject before I get your opinions here, Samuel.
Go for it.
But I was really impressed with Illy in that series against the Rocker. He looked great. And like finally we saw some of that slaying in like the Like he popped off for a handful of 3 pieces on that Moscow. You're like, this is the Illy we've been waiting to see. Finally, we get to see it. The SMG Slayer. And it was really exciting. I finally felt like we saw something there that we've been waiting to see. And hopefully that's good signs for what's to come for Dallas. But I'm not convinced that it's going to happen against FaZe, obviously, at the end of the day. Yeah. I mean, what are your thoughts here, Sam?
Yeah. I mean, you do look at the series versus Mutineers where they got 3-0'd.
Yeah.
And so
that was
like,
the thing.
Oh,
they looked terrible in that series.
I know. So to me, this is how I'm viewing it. I'm viewing it as a FaZe who just dominantly destroyed OpTic. And then you have a struggling Empire. And we've already seen
an inconsistent Empire.
And we've already seen FaZe beat Empire before. So it's like, to me, this just seems like a 3-1 FaZe.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair.
Yeah.
I could see Empire forcing a game 5 here, but I'm down for going the FaZe 3-1 route.
Yeah.
It's hard not to pick FaZe, you know?
It really is.
It really is. I agree. I mean, in an early round here, I mean, that'd be a pretty massive upset at this point. For FaZe, I guess we can talk about, I guess I'll save it for when they play Ultra here, but I'll talk more about FaZe in a second here when we talk about the Ultra matchup when they face off Bland 7. But yeah, that win forced them to play Ultra on Friday. So, all right, let's do the other winners round then. Mutineers v Thieves. Another really, really interesting one.
This is a delicious
and
one.
Convictions about what you believe about these teams.
Yeah.
Sam, where are you at with this?
So Mutineers is the team that I hate predicting with passion.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you don't really
they burned
know,
me so many times.
You don't really know who they are.
No.
So looking at the stage, they beat Empire 3-0, and then they beat LAG 3-2. They lose to Legion, they lose to Rocker, and they lose to Ultra.
Yeah, so they started off 0-3.
0-3.
Or no, they beat Rocker 3-1, didn't they?
Sorry, they beat Rocker 3-1. My bad.
Yeah. They beat Rocker 3-1. Let me pull that up.
Yep.
Oh yeah, they won they won 3-1. They only lost the control, the Rocker won on the raid control. So
yep.
All right, okay, yeah. So I don't know, it is tough. They won their last 2 matchups. They looked really, really good in that series against Empire. Rex, where you at with this?
I'm thinking Thieves 3-1 with the addition of Huke, and I feel like Thieves have a certain level of consistency about them. That I think it's just going to beat Mutineers in the long run.
I mean, it just comes down to what you believe about Huke on this team now. I mean, we saw him in 1 series.
Yeah,
and they lost 3-1.
It's only going to get better with the meshing with it.
Right. I mean, where do you believe, like, Mutineers? Let's talk this. Mutineers, Subliners, and Thieves. Search and destroy. How do you rank those 3 teams in S&D? Because I think this comes down to S&Ds. I would see this going game 5 with how Florida's playing right now. And that's what gets at least really, really interesting for me and why this matchup's really, really fun. Because they haven't played each other this year, Florida and Thieves yet. So a matchup we actually haven't seen so far this season. And I think this goes game 5, and I'm torn. I've gone back and forth about which team's going to win this game 5.
Yeah.
And it's hard to say considering we saw, with Huke, they went round 11. The Subliners. Subliners haven't been that particularly good in Search and Destroy lately. I don't know. Thoughts?
Yeah, I feel like Mutineers might take it over S&D of when you look at Mutineers' performance on S&D, it's probably etching out Thieves.
Right.
So maybe you could say Mutineers game 5 here. But man, it's hard to doubt the Thieves though.
I think Thieves 3-1.
With the addition of Huke too, when they figure it out.
I mean, they have an extra week to get better now.
Yeah.
But
I feel like Mutineers depend on Awakening popping off in S&D. So
yeah,
that's where it lies. And I feel like,
and I don't trust their map pool very much either.
I mean, Mutineers can win on any given day. Like, that's just how Mutineers are. Like, they're all super talented. They can win any given day. But how many times does that happen? How many times did they like, you know what, we're on today, and they just win? Not a lot. Like, so I feel like Thieves, if we're playing the odds, I feel like Thieves are going to be the one that take this.
The Mutineers only lost 2 S&Ds this stage. And they were both in round 11s, and it was the Ultra and LAG, who were both great S&D teams. They beat the Rocker in a round 11. Then they beat, oh my word, they had so many round 11s. They beat the Legion in round 11. And then they beat Empire 6-3 on Express. And then they lost round 11 to LAG 6-5 and then won round 10 on Moscow.
Oh.
So they had 3 round 11s this stage. I don't know, man. I'm very tempted to take Florida here, but the problem has been every time I pick Florida to win, I'm wrong.
Yep.
Okay, so I guess what are you guys' predictions here?
Yeah, I'm going to go Thieves 3-2.
So I'm outvoted either way.
Thieves
I
3-1.
think I would take Florida 3-2.
So how does this work? Thieves 3-2 then?
Yeah, is there a number that I would go Thieves 3-2 then.
Okay.
But although if it goes game 5,
Do you think Florida would take it?
I think Florida takes it. So I would go Thieves 3-1 in this situation. So you go with that?
3-1.
Okay, let's do 3-1.
Boom.
So that sets us up with we have FaZe going through, we have Florida going through. So that sets us down to the losers bracket here. So look at, if you see the YouTube folk out there, we got the losers bracket now, and that's LAG versus the Surge in a losers bracket bout here. So, where are you guys at with this matchup? What are your thoughts on the Surge, LAG? This is a tough one.
I'm not giving up on LAG yet. LAG has still shown signs of they have a little bit of grit to them. I like LAG to win this one 3-1.
Ooh, okay. I like it. LAG has had a game 5 issue lately.
It's insane, dude.
And it's been a little bit crazy. So Sam, where are you at with it?
Yeah, so the game 5s are just insane.
They've lost their last 3 game 5s. Their last 3 series have gone game 5, and they've lost 6-3 on Raid to Empire, 6-4 on Miami to Rocker, and 6-4 on Moscow to the Mutineers. So my inclination is this goes game 5, and this time the Gorillas clutch up. That's kind of where I'm at with it. It's hard to pick the Surge after what just happened to them against London.
Yeah, pretty much LAG should be winning or have the better performances on every mode. I mean, right now, Surge are 0-5 in control, 2-4 in S&D, 2-6 in hardpoint.
But it's not like LAG's been good in hardpoint either.
No. Yeah, they've been 3-6 in stage 3 for hardpoint. Man, part of me wants to say they're gonna figure it out with Decimate,
right? Another week.
There's a factor there too.
Definitely.
But LAG might just be able to out S&D them.
See, my thing is that's what I'm saying. In a week to prepare for Search and Destroys,
yeah.
I trust LAG, and then I think they're gonna win the control. So that forces a game 5 either way. Mm-hmm. And then who are you gonna pick in a game 5? You're gonna pick LAG.
Yeah.
So
okay, I cast a vote 3-2 LAG.
All right, let's do it. I'm down 3-2 LAG. Tough stuff for Seattle, man. That would be painful for them.
Surge lose this.
That you're thinking roster
change.
I mean, right?
You for sure. You're probably dropping.
Whoever plays the worst in that series is going to be on the hot seat.
I'm going to say you're probably thinking Pristini there at that point.
Really? Are you?
Don't you think?
Man, I don't know.
You don't think you try and change out Decimate again?
I think you either try to train out Decimate or you're looking at one of the ARs. That seems mind blowing to do.
Yeah.
But at this point, why not? We've seen some great players drop this year and it's worked somehow. So why not at this point? I mean, gravity. That's a thought,
Yeah, it's spicy pickup.
We'll see. It'd be spicy. So breaking news after this podcast.
Yeah, gravity's joining
next week. I'm predicting next week's news already. But all right. So that sends LAG through. London Royal Ravens are up next there. London V Legion's up next there.
Yeah.
I'm already kind of giving away my pick, I think.
London
it's hard
3-0.
to pick Paris. Whoa, 3-0.
Yeah.
Really?
I'm high on Ravens.
Are you high on Ravens or low on Paris?
High on Ravens.
Interesting. Okay.
My gut reaction is Ravens, but
yeah, same.
But the thing is though, is I feel like Paris have something in them to do it.
Like a little bit of they might have found something here.
Yeah.
Again, they beat Florida, but then that fire was extinguished by the Ultra.
Oh, yeah.
But the thing is, they played Ultra on Garrison in a really close Garrison. It actually came down to time, where the time ran out in that match. And it was a really fun match to watch. And they went and played a raid, and they played Ultra on their best map, raid. Yeah. So you end up going down and losing. And then you played a Garrison where it just wasn't that close. So I don't know. I think Paris could make something happen here. This is by no means an easy win for London, but I don't have enough faith in Paris right now, unfortunately. So I'm going to go London. I'm going to go London 3-2 though, in a close S&D series.
I cast my vote for 3-1, truthfully.
So we got 3-0, 3-1, and 3-2. Do you just want to settle with 3-1 then?
Yep.
Okay, I'm fine with that. That sends London through. So do you want to start back up on the winner's side then?
Let's do it.
Oh, so we got back to the.
This is where
it gets hot. And some interesting matchups here. So we got the Toronto v Atlanta matchup finally. Again, of course, the rematch of the grand finals of stage 2 in winners round 2 right here, which gets really, really interesting. So Rex, lead the way with the hotness that is this match. Where are you at with this one?
So FaZe, I feel like, are coming with a vengeance for Ultra. Like, they want Ultra's throat, but I think Ultra also knows that, and Ultra is an extremely solid squad that I feel like they're just very controlled. Like,
they only dropped one map.
Doesn't seem like they have a lot of chaos that happens.
5-1, 5-0,
like, they seem
5-0.
like they control everything that's sort of happening. And that's what I think is really what's setting Ultra above everybody else. So with that, I'm saying Ultra 3-2.
So this is really interesting because, right, I agree that the narrative is kind of like FaZe is going to come out. This is the most important match of their whole season so far. They're going to win it, you know? But then it's like, that puts you in the exact same situation that you were in last time around, where they beat Ultra in the winners round 2. And then here you go, and then you end up rematching them in the grand finals, and then here you are again. I don't know, man. This is a really, really weird series. My gut reaction is FaZe wins in either 3-1 or 3-2.
You're just out on Ultra then?
I'm not out on Ultra. The fact is that FaZe, I was just really impressed with FaZe's willingness to go out and try to build a map pool, and they noticed that the weaknesses that they had coming out of the stage 2 major, which was search and destroy, and a deeper map pool and like willingness to play and control. And I think they made some massive strides along those lines, and they're going to be prepared for an Ultra series this time around. It's hard to pick against a team like the Ultra who dropped one map. They were 15-1 map count in their stage. But again, stage A had OpTic, LA Thieves, New York, and FaZe in that group. That's so stacked. It's stacked.
Yeah, so it's like how much do you believe in the group rankings?
The group A versus group B, and where do you have them? And my thought is the Ultra, though played, they worked the hand that they were dealt. But I think they're going to be a pretty good spot. I wouldn't be surprised if we talk about this same matchup again later on in this tournament.
Oh, absolutely.
But I would go FaZe 3-2.
Sam?
I'm gonna say Ultra 3-2.
Ooh, my guy.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Man, that puts us into an interesting situation here.
Tough.
Wait, Rex, what did you say?
I said Ultra 3-2.
Oh, 3-2. Okay, so it is an Ultra 3-2 then for our pick. Oh my goodness. Okay. Y'all are going balls to the walls. I love it. I mean, again, it's not like it's in my Power Rankings video today, I said it's a 51-49 with these two teams. They're incredible. They're both great. They're definitely by far the best two teams in the CDL right now, at least in my head. And we get to see them in the freaking second round of winners. That's crazy. So this tournament's stacked up to be an unbelievable one. And either way, it's going to create some crazy matchups. So, all right. Subliners, Mutineers now. Or no.
Subliners, Thieves.
Subliners, Thieves. I forgot because I had Mutineers.
Yep.
Subliners, Thieves here for our matchup in the second round. Sam, what are your thoughts?
Again, gut reaction. New York takes this. When they just played each other and New York won, does Huke mesh into this team within a week?
Yeah, and being a team in back-to-back weeks is not easy.
No.
It is. It makes it really spicy. I think I would imagine that the Subliners are really hoping that Florida wins that match. I'd imagine they'd rather not play Thieves again, coming off how close that Search and Destroy was, especially. Rex, what are your thoughts right here?
Subliners 3-2. Never
Ooh.
doubt the Subliners.
Yeah.
We act
I
like
agree.
there's going to be some sort of like thing, but that's the thing about the Subliners, that they're so good at overcoming their mental blocks that I think they'll be able to beat Thieves 3-2. Again.
That means they're winning a Search and Destroy in Game 5.
Yep.
That's tough. I'll be interested to see what maps they end up playing with how that could play out. But man, I lean Subliners as well, I think.
I think this might be a repeat 3-1.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, this is the time.
S&D went round 11.
Subliners like are trying to cement themselves as like, we are this top team, and if they beat Thieves here, I think they do that.
Yeah. I think we end up playing a checkmate control this time around if they end up doing that, and that's going to be a really, really interesting one. So that means I'm picking Subliners 3-2 as well. So that sets us up 3-2. That gets interesting, man. Wow, that is really, really tough, bro. That sets up a really fun finals as well, or winners finals too. But all right, let's go down to the losers bracket. We'll stay in the losers bracket for a little bit here now. We got OpTic versus LAG up next, man. And the winner of this goes on to play the Dallas Empire.
Wow.
Very fun. Rex, lead the way here. What are your thoughts on this team?
Well, if there's a team OpTic's and like gonna have the most, I feel like, confidence against, nothing against LAG, but it's LAG.
I agree.
Just because I feel like they're like recognized names. I feel like OpTic maybe doesn't respect those players maybe as much as they should.
Or they trust their gunnies against them.
Yeah, they trust
That's
their
what it
gunnies
is.
against them, which I think is sort of what OpTic almost needs, is more confidence in themselves.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
feel like this could be that way that OpTic does it. I think it'll be an OpTic 3-2.
Honestly. Is there a narrative here where it's like this might be better for OpTic's mental health to start in the losers bracket? Like all right, we need to grind here from the beginning. We get maybe a little bit more winnable match off the rip than having to play like they would have had to play Dallas round 1 if they or right or
oh yeah,
and just get their egos shot.
I can't remember how it would have worked out if they would have ended up beating FaZe. But yeah, instead of having to play a winners round 1 where they might end up losing off the rip. Maybe you get a start against LAG and this helps get the wheels turning a little bit.
I mean,
maybe
this is the
narrative.
Team. This is the team where it's like, if you want to still remain like in people's minds as like they're a good team, this is the team you have to beat. Like,
yeah,
Gorillas is lower on the power ranking totem pole.
Wow, I mean
OpTic
that would be
it's gonna be like rough. People are slam dunking them down to the ground on this on their power rankings.
Even the most loyal OpTic fans would probably turn on them if
they
lose to LAG.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's like, where's the argument anymore? So like this has to be the one where it's like this, like if you want to still be like you're a good team, this needs to be a gimme for you. Like
this is a scary match for them though, because it's like the fundamental aspects. Obviously, they'd rather play Surge.
Oh,
I mean, they beat him 3 times in a row at this point.
Yeah.
But Gorillas are solid.
They're fundamental. They're good at search and destroy, so it matches up against what OpTic's best at right now. LAG sucks at respawn. OpTic sucks at respawn.
Yeah.
It's a scary match. I can see this going 3-2.
Wow. I'm going to vote 3-1 OpTic.
I would go 3-2 OpTic.
I'm 3-2 OpTic.
Wow. That would be terrifying for OpTic fans, man. I don't have enough confidence in this team to pick them to win a game 4 hardpoint at this point. That's really what it is. Now we have Rocker versus London Royal Ravens up next. This is where our bracket's at right now for everybody on YouTube. Whoops, right there. So it does get a little bit spicy again here. I mean, what do you believe about these two teams? Rocker on a little bit of a slide right now.
Yeah.
Have not been playing their best Call of Duty. Like we mentioned earlier, respawns are a problem for Rocker, especially hard points right now if they're not playing Raid. Sam, what are your thoughts about this matchup? London v Rocker.
Part of me thinks that Rocker is unfortunately kind of sliding back to their old ways.
Accuracy's been struggling.
Yeah.
It's just obvious, I feel like at this point.
They are currently 3-7 stage 3, 3-7 hardpoint. Like you picked up standing to like fix your hardpoint.
Right.
And now it's like not working.
Like
Now
they got
they're
smoked on that checkmate versus LAG where Apathy was just dogging them.
Yeah.
Like, bro, Apathy had 30 something kills in that match. Yeah. He was dominating. And you're like, what is happening to the Rocker? They're getting smoked.
Mm.
And that was really ugly. That's the thing about this team is like on a map like Checkmate, you can just rely on Assault just being really solid. Oh. And then when Apathy's doing something like that, they're dangerous. But man, that's tough.
Yeah. So like, I do think this would be a London 3-1. Truthfully.
Yeah, I mean, they've been trying to get better at Apocalypse. They definitely been trying to play it a lot. They beat Legion on it. They lost to Ultra on it. Then they beat Gorillas on it. Then they lost to Dallas on it. So they've been playing it a lot, trying to get better at it. I don't know, man. It is interesting. It's hard to bank on London at this point. My heart would tell me this is 3-2 Rocker.
3-1 Ravens.
Wow.
Ravens are soaring, baby. They're starting to fly. We saw it in the FaZe match. We saw it in the New York match when they beat New York, and then they went to a game 5 with FaZe, and it was like close. Ravens are on the upswing here, and they're going to start flying, I think. They're a scary team to play against. And Rocker, as Sam said, kind of seems like they're sliding. Maybe the honeymoon, whether you believe it or not, seems like the honeymoon ended. Seems like they're going down. We got Paul X, like Shawnee, V-Accuracy,
Paul and Zap,
V-Accuracy.
they were playing really well.
Zed, pretty nasty.
The vibes do seem pretty high on London right now.
They do,
but like
they're flying.
Yeah, Zed was on the flank for shoutouts, and he said their team's disgusting. I'm like,
they
gotta love the confidence.
Good. So I'm high on Ravens 3-1.
I don't know, man. That would be a tough exit for the Rocker. I mean, that would be really tough for them to go out one and done like that. Wow, so that sets up for some pretty wild matchups there then. So in our bracket now, that leaves what? Dallas versus OpTic, and Mutineers versus London in losers bracket. Wow. Okay. So Rex, take us away. We got a spicy matchup here. This is going to get personal.
Ooh, this is horrible.
So
this is going to get personal.
This is terrible.
OpTic Dallas
versus Empire. Now we know the blood feud that these guys have between each other. This is where OpTic is possibly, they just beat Gorillas. They maybe feel like, yeah, we're the shit again. So like this could be like the time when they're going to start flying. Empire have, in my opinion, been slowly kind of going downhill.
I mean, obviously you're low on the Rocker after our last talk.
So I'm going. This is a tough one. It's a 3-2.
Yeah,
OpTic.
It is.
Oh,
it's so tough because it's like
it is.
You know, do you buy into the? I mean, the thing is, you guys just picked. I'm leaning Dallas 3-2, but I had Rocker beating London, so I'm really, really close. Honestly, I think if Dallas wins, it'd be a 3-1. If Dallas wins, it'd be a 3-1. I like OpTic's chances in S&D in a game 5. I'm down to go OpTic 3-2. I was up in the air on this one, whether it was a Dallas 3-1 or an OpTic 3-2. It's really tough.
I think it's going to be an Empire win, though. I don't know.
And you have Empire 3-1?
Yeah.
Dang, now I'm the tie-breaking
I
vote?
know.
Shoot.
Yeah, I just we see some crucially bad hard points.
Yeah,
OpTic.
I mean, it's been terrible. It's been horrible. Mm-hmm. And they haven't looked fundamentally sound at all. And, I mean, Dallas, it's just tough though, because it's like you look at Dallas's last few matchups, and it's like, yeah, I mean, they beat the Gorillas in a 3-2. They beat Legion in a 3-1. They got 3-0'd by the Mutineers. That map was terrible. It was so bad. It's just like hard for me to get over that series with how bad that was. And then, yeah, you head on to a Rocker match, and they looked good in that one. And again, like I said, Illy, I saw the little bit of the slang upside promise there. Man, it's really hard to buy in. I'm going to stick with my power rankings then. I'm going to go OpTic 3-2.
Wow.
I don't love it.
I don't love it either, but that's what I'm predicting.
I don't love it, man. That feels bad.
I mean, I just can't believe OpTic is like already spiraling out of control and burning and going down in flames. Like, it just feels like OpTic has to have like a vengeance run during this tournament to me. Otherwise, it's like, what's going on in the world? Because it's so OpTic to do their vengeance run now. So like, that's part of the reason I feel like I'm putting OpTic in winning this 3-2.
Yeah, my thought is like, if OpTic doesn't beat Gorillas handily, it's almost like they feel like they're going to lose to Dallas. Like, if they beat Gorillas 3-2 and they sneak by them, like, are they really going to be hyped about that? They're going to be more like, oh, goodness, we barely beat LAG. LAG sucks. Like, I mean, that's obviously what their perspective is. I
don't know if that's what they're thinking. They're thinking we're in a tournament, like, they really are playing for, like, are we still a good team or not? This is their vengeance tour.
Yeah, this is undoubtedly the toughest matchup to pick. Because it's like a rising Dallas who looked really good in their last match, horrible in the previous one. OpTic, who's lost 3 straight against top 4 teams. And Respawns looked bad. Both teams have looked decent in S&D. Dallas on paper has the advantage here, I think. But you trust OpTic a little bit more based off what we've seen. And I'm going to go, I'll stick with OpTic 3-2. That's tough,
okay.
Though. That's tough. All right. LA Thieves v Rocker then. Florida
versus Ravens.
Florida versus Ravens. I forgot. I'm looking at my bracket again. My bad.
That's okay.
Florida v Ravens here. And thoughts here. Thoughts as a whole. This is going to be an interesting match then. Rex?
I mean, again, Kaka. I'm high on the Ravens. I'm going 3-2 Ravens in this one.
Dang, they are the Darkhorse, the Dark Raven.
Yeah, no joke.
I'm going Ravens 3-2. I'd even go Ravens 3-1.
Wow.
I think Paul X, Zap, like, I feel like they really found their groove when they played Subliners and FaZe. And like, I know they lost to FaZe, but they still played really close to FaZe, and it really could have gone. Ravens could have ended up winning that series.
Yeah, I mean,
they found something in the last whatever major
last 3 match. I mean, again, they lost to OpTic 3-1, then they lost to Thieves 3-1. But then, you know, this is, if you say this is where something clicked for them, they beat the Subliners 3-2, coming off the Subliners win against FaZe. Then they took FaZe to a game 5. They had a 2-1 lead in that series. Then you go and you beat the Surge 3-1 in a really impressive 3-1. So I mean, you can definitely see the upward trend for London for sure. The question mark is when push comes to shove.
Yeah.
Against
the Mutineers. Yeah, Mutineers are that wild team that, like, any given hour, any given minute, they could all of a sudden be like, we're a good team now.
Right.
And they'll just go and destroy.
Who do we have Florida losing to here? We have Florida losing to LA Thieves. Yeah. Okay. In this situation, I'm down to go London, I guess. No, man, I'm gonna go Florida 3-1.
Jeez.
Sam, what's your vote?
Rex, boys, your final?
He was London 3-2.
I'm Ravens 3-2.
What's your thought process here? Work us through this.
Yeah. So again,
hard point. Who has the advantage in hard points? Recently, London has won. They beat FaZe in an Apocalypse. They beat Surge in a Moscow. They beat Surge in a Garrison. They beat Subliners in a. They've won all their controls since the Subliner series.
Mutineers are 4-4 in hardpoint, stage 3. 2-3 in control.
Yeah,
and then
London's 3-0 in control since the Thief series. They're 3-2 in control, or 4-1 in control in stage 3. This is going game 5.
Yeah, 3-2 London, game 5.
All right, so London takes it, man. Y'all are lined up today. You and Rex are lined up today.
So far, my bracket, everything we've done is exactly what I've said. Well,
yeah.
the winning at least.
Dang. Alrighty, so yeah, I want to stick with the losers here, and then we'll go to the winners.
Yes.
So that sets up as for you YouTube folk. Oh, we're already on it. LA Thieves v OpTic match in the losers quarters here. So, or no, losers. Yeah, loser quarters for top 4. This gets interesting.
This is where I see the Vengeance Tour coming to a screeching halt. I think LA Thieves, again, they're going to be that wall that separates the good from the great. And I think LA Thieves is going to beat them 3-1.
Yes,
and my bracket is so different. This is so crazy.
Yeah. I suppose you give OpTic the S&D, you give Thieves the respawns. 3-1 Thieves.
Man, that's really, really tough. Yeah, I mean, you'd have to favor the respawns for Thieves. Well, I mean, again, do you? It's just like we have so many variables here. I'm inclined to take OpTic in this matchup.
I don't know, man. I don't think they're going to turn around in time.
OpTic just beat Gorillas. They just beat Dallas in this. LA Thieves is coming off. Who do they lose to in this? FaZe? No, Subliners.
Subliners.
Oh, it's the Subliners. Okay. That makes it really, really interesting. So I'm not convinced that LA Thieves is there yet with Huke. And like they could split the hard points. They could split the S&Ds. Yeah, I think there's a lot of ways this series could go. I mean, your bank. I mean, what's the argument here? I mean, we saw LA Thieves got 3-1'd by Thieves or by Subliners, and then they beat Florida in this situation. Then they lose to Subliners again.
What have we seen from OpTic? OpTic, what was getting
well at this point they beat LAG and then they beat Dallas.
Yeah, but those are Vengeance Tour wins. Those aren't like.
Well, why isn't this
I feel
a
like
Vengeance
if
Tour win?
those were league matches, OpTic maybe still beats Gorillas. If it was just a regular league match, I'd probably favor Empire. But OpTic is coming out for blood. They really want it, and it's Prim 6 and that whole Envy OpTic thing. I just favor OpTic in that. When it comes to Thieves and OpTic, Thieves have just that swagger about them that I feel like OpTic doesn't quite have. And Thieves are going to play consistently at their high level all the time. Like they're a wall.
But we don't know that. We've only seen it with Huke in one series, and they lost to the Subliners 3-1.
It's how, I mean, Thieves were like that before.
Again, both these teams you're working off of wisps here. I mean, we're working on assuming OpTic can rebound here, beating they could get bounced by LAG for all we know.
Yeah.
At this point, at least Thieves is more likely to be here. That is the argument if you want to hedge your bets. But in this situation, if this comes down to OpTic, in this exact situation with OpTic coming off of 2 wins, LA Thieves coming off 1 win then a loss, and OpTic on a revenge match here versus LA Thieves coming off their loss previously, just last week, I'm taking OpTic in a 3-2 win.
But Thieves are playing OpTic. Like you have to imagine, like Thieves are not like those players are not players that just kind of give up. Like they aren't gonna be like, we lost, it's over. Like I feel like they really don't get down like that, just as individual players.
No, I agree. And they got good bounce back potential.
They have really good bounce back potential, and it's Thieves versus OpTic. It's like the match. Everyone's gonna watch that match. You know, Winston Brothers is one of the most watched matches all this whole major.
Right.
So
another knockout round. I mean, again, this would be so good for the CDL in this exact scenario where OpTic plays Dallas and OpTic plays Thieves, and then OpTic would potentially play FaZe. that would be some golden matchups.
I mean,
in this
I guess you're right.
bracket.
Like these matches will be happening on the same day. Yeah,
that matters. They're both on Saturday.
They are both on Saturday, which does
that does
throws a little thing into the equation.
That's not the case.
I'm still
for
sticking
with
Thieves.
Yeah, Thieves will be coming off of a Friday match. I'm going. This is an OpTic win. If this is the situation here, OpTic wins this.
Come on, guys.
It is the same day. That's
Sam,
pretty.
Make a statement.
Intense.
Where are you at?
I am kind of down. I am down on OpTic.
Dang. But do you buy into the Thieves hype?
I do.
Dang.
But it's the same day. I feel like that plays a way bigger
today
part.
on this.
You are.
Every single team I'm picking here.
I mean, I'm seeing where you're coming from with the OpTic thing. Since it is the same day, it really makes
this
me
is a bet-worthy match. I'm down to put my money on OpTic.
About this.
Let's do it.
OpTic coming off of beating Empire 3-2. OpTic's
here.
gonna be riding a major high, and then they're gonna same day. They got a great warm up. They're gonna be playing the Thieves.
Oh, but yeah. But Thieves got that FaZe scrim.
Do they?
I mean, maybe. They probably got
FaZe
more than likely they got it.
FaZe plays right after that.
No, yeah, they didn't. They would have got probably either a Toronto or an Ultra scrim. That's what they would have got. But yeah, no, it is interesting. So, okay, well, I'm getting bodied in predictions here. Sam and I just made a hat bet if this matchup ends up happening, which the odds are pretty unlikely. But if it does happen, we have a hat bet going on this one.
IP and pools.
So, alrighty. That lines up now the FaZe v London match. Rex, does your love for London come to an end here?
It does come to an end here.
That's a
FaZe
shame.
at this point, they're pissed out of their mind. They're like, we just lost. You know what? They're going to go and just run a train, and it's going to be a 3-2.
3-2. See, for me, this is a 3-1.
Oh, wow. This is a 3-0.
Oh, man.
This is a 3-0. FaZe 3-0s them in this situation.
Well,
I'm down for, I think FaZe 3-0, but I don't know. I'm down to settle for FaZe 3-1, I guess, at this point.
Yeah, why not?
Okay, so that sets up, let's do the winners bracket then. That sets up Ultra versus Subliners and winners, and then in losers, it's the LA Thieves versus Atlanta FaZe.
Yeah.
Kind of the top 4 teams seen right now in power rankings, the top 4 I had in my power rankings today. So what are your thoughts on this matchup? Ultra v Subliners, Rex. Are you trusting New York?
I'm trusting New York.
Really?
Bro.
What
Never
a homer
doubt.
pick.
Ultra
Never
looks
doubt.
so good.
At this point, if the
here's the
Ultra-
thing. Here's the thing. Ultra has to lose at some point, right? Do we think they're a team that's just going to go undefeated?
Oh, no.
Man, this point,
whole
why not?
No.
Yeah, why not?
What's the team that's going to beat them? Subliners or FaZe?
FaZe.
Subliners have
Yeah, because FaZe already beat 'em.
passion. Subliners have the grit and the fortitude to beat Ultra. And I believe they also have the organization to also beat Ultra. They can get Ultra in a chaotic mode, which is where Ultra will fall flat. And I think Subliners will win.
But then why
3-2.
can't FaZe do that? This is an Ultra win,
Ultra
3-1.
looks so dang good.
You know what?
No,
I'll
3-2.
change it.
Ultra
Subliners
3-2.
3-1.
This is Ultra 3-2 because, I mean, it's too, you can't really pick, it's, New York's look too good in respawns to pick them winning, 3-1. So I'll go 3-2 Ultra here. Search and destroy. That makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
Sam?
Yeah, Subliners are 1-4 control, 4-3 search.
Right. Ultra hasn't dropped a search, hasn't dropped a control throughout all of stage 3.
Yeah.
It's just like, this is destined for game 5.
Yeah.
This is destined for game 5.
3-2.
Ultra win 3-2.
Ultra. Yeah.
Destiny.
Yeah.
100%. All right, Rex, you're outvoted. See ya, New York.
On my bracket, Subliners still 3-1.
All right, so that sets up. So we have to talk about the LA Thieves FaZe match in the losers side of things for our bracket now here. So LA Thieves FaZe in the losers or semifinals. So that's an interesting match, man. It's a rematch of their earlier matchup.
The 3-2.
FaZe is chomping at Thieves' little toes, and they're going to bite them off hard. FaZe 3-1.
See, again, like I've said, I'm not sold that this is a Thieves team that is great yet. Again, the last time FaZe played them, that was the previous roster.
Yeah.
The good Thieves roster that's there now as a team. I'm not convinced that Thieves there yet. So I would take a FaZe either 3-0 or 3-1.
Yeah. This is smelling like a 3-1 FaZe.
Yeah. I'm very, very down for that. Makes a lot of sense, I think. Yeah. So, all right. Now our losers final here is Subliners v FaZe. Won their last 3 S&Ds, Surge, OpTic, Thieves. But before that, they had lost all their S&Ds to FaZe and Subliners, or to London. So kind of depends what you think about the Surge, OpTic, and Thieves S&D play. Again, like I said, I'm going FaZe 3-2.
FaZe 3-2.
Alrighty. Sorry, Rex.
It's all right. This is an alternate reality that doesn't exist.
That's true.
That doesn't exist.
So now we have an Ultra v FaZe match from Ultra having the veto advantage from the winners bracket. Oh. That means you're probably not gonna play a Moscow, which is FaZe's best S&D map, and you're not gonna. That gets a massive advantage for the Ultra.
Yeah,
you're going to get to play raid multiple times. That makes it a lot tougher for a FaZe win. I think more than it would be for FaZe coming from winners than for the Ultra. So, all right, what is your thoughts here on an Ultra versus FaZe situation with Ultra coming from the winners bracket?
I think FaZe win 5-3.
I think this is primed for a round 9, dude.
Round 9.
This is primed for a round 9.
Yeah.
I would go FaZe 5-4 in our first 9 game series. Sam, where you at?
Do we do it? Well, yeah. So this is for sure gonna be closer than last time, without a doubt.
In this situation, we have Ultra beating FaZe earlier in the tournament, right?
Yeah.
So
to me, this makes sense that this is a very
the inverse
close.
of stage 2.
Yeah.
Where FaZe beat Ultra early in the tournament, they come down to the final, and FaZe wins in a round 9 epic ending here for it all. So this is what the bracket looks like at this point. You can't really see it. If you could maybe scroll up on the screen so they could show them the grand final there. There's the grand final there for you YouTube folk. We got the winners final, which is Ultra Subliners. And the losers final is Subliners FaZe. Subliners losing to FaZe 3-2. So I just want to talk real quickly about our personal brackets. Rex, what's your winner final, losers final, and grand final?
So you gotta come back. I just refreshed.
All right, here I got it.
Page.
So my winners final is FaZe plays Subliners, and FaZe 3-1s the Subliners, or I'm sorry, 3-2s the Subliners, and sends them down to the losers bracket to play the Ultra in the elimination or in the losers final, and Ultra 3-2 the Subliners as well, sending on to a FaZe v Ultra, where I also have a game 9 series with FaZe winning in game 9.
Yep. For me, my winners final was Ultra versus Subliners. I had Ultra 3-1ing Subliners, and then my losers final was Subliners versus FaZe, in which I had FaZe win 3-2, which again, grand final was FaZe v Ultra. And I had FaZe beat Ultra 5-3.
Dang. All right, Rex, what did you have? New York.
Yeah, I'm finishing up. I had to refresh the page and it made me go like I gotta.
Oh, okay. That is unfortunate. But yeah, I mean,
the worst.
Okay, so while we're waiting for Rex there, let's talk about some of the other final end. I mean, we're coming up on an hour 45, 50 here, probably pushing that amount of time. But yeah, so real quick, MVP talk.
Yes.
In a situation where FaZe wins. I mean, I'm sticking true to my guns here. I'm going to say, how many times have we said Simp MVP? I'm going to stick with my guns there and stick with Simp as the MVP.
Yeah, FaZe is winning. I mean, the low-hanging fruit is Simp.
Right.
But
okay, fair play.
Simp.
Fair play. Rex, who would be your MVP in your situation? Oh, we need to know who you have winning first, I guess. Do you have it now?
So my grand finals is Subliners versus FaZe. I have Subliners winning 5-3.
Who's coming from winners?
My winners final is Ultra versus Subliners. I have Subliners winning.
Okay, so Subliners
3-1.
comes from winners.
My elimination final, I have Ultra versus FaZe. I have FaZe winning 3-2. And that's all we had to go over, right?
Yeah. Dang. Okay.
And so I guess my MVP, let's go Hydra.
Yeah, that would make the most sense. It's going to be interesting. I mean, again, it's not crazy that Subliners wins it, but it's like you're just banking on a lot of S&D improvement across the whole tournament, and I'm just not convinced that their map pool is there yet to make the full run to a championship right now. That's my biggest issue. They've looked good at moments in Search and Destroy for sure, especially the last 3 maps or matches. And again, they played some pretty good maps. They played Miami, they played Express, they played Raid. But it's just like you're playing against Thieves with a new roster. OpTic obviously not playing well right now. And Express was a tough situation for them. Not great. Even though OpTic was coming off an Express win against Surge. Surge has not been playing great in Search and Destroy, but that went round 11. So that's my biggest question with Empire.
Yeah.
So, all right. Okay, so who's your biggest dark horse? I would imagine you would say London then. Do you have another team besides London that you're keeping an eye on to make like a top 4 type run there?
I mean, is LA Thieves a dark horse?
Probably not.
I mean, yeah, Ravens are my number 1 dark horse team right now. If not Ravens,
the Mutineers are kind of primed to make a run.
I was going to say Florida for me.
Probably Mutineers.
In my bracket, I have them going out in round 4.
To OpTic or to Dallas?
To FaZe, actually.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Oh my word! It's oh my goodness. Okay, yeah. So that's my thing. Is Mutineers, they are primed to make a chance. So I had Mutineers beating Thieves, and then Subliners beating Mutineers. And then Mutineers v OpTic was a tough situation for me where I was like, man, this could go either way. Again, in a world where this actually clicked for Florida, they could easily win that. And then suddenly, voila, you're in the top 6 or you're in the top 4 if you win that match. So Florida could easily find their way into the top 4 there if they just beat Thieves.
They're primed.
So
if they choose to pop off, it'd be good.
Right. And I would love to see it. So that's a team I'd probably like the most hopeful situation. I would love to see Florida beat Thieves, then beat OpTic or beat Dallas, whoever ends up being there, and then end up in the top 4. That'd be really, really fun to see that happen. So is there any player you're keeping your eye on, the biggest X factor player that you're keeping your eye on in this tournament that you think could make the biggest impact and really change a tournament in a big way?
I think Huke. I mean, you got to look at
That's
Huke.
fair.
You got to look at Huke on the Thieves, and if he can be able to
if he's dominant,
put up his normal numbers and mesh with LA Thieves,
then
and if
suddenly
they
could be top 3.
Exactly. So for sure, you're looking at that. On Surge, you're looking at Decimate. If he's if he's able to pop off and he's able to do his thing, and Surge can maybe get a few more rounds than last place. So
I guess the one guy, really, maybe the guy who I'm like probably least confident in, that if he plays great, they're right there towards top 4 again, is Krim. He's had some really inconsistent maps, and especially inside Respawn. And it just makes me really, really worried about Dallas when you have Fellow and him. Although Fellow had a really nice series there against the Rocker.
He did.
And then when you combine that with Illy's Slang, and then suddenly they're a pretty dangerous team again. And that's why it's like with the OpTic situation, it's just like I just had them with the role that they were on, had them beating Dallas, but it gets really, really close there. So that's kind of my thought there. Krim's a guy to watch out for. I could see them making a run to top 4 as well. It's going to get spicy, man. It's going to be a ton of fun to watch, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to it. Is there any other like special guys you want to shout out or anything else there at all?
No, not really.
Johnny on the Ravens.
Okay.
Johnny, go for it.
Yeah, that's fair. None of us had Toronto winning. I mean, some would say that's a hot take, considering Toronto has only lost 1 map in the past month, which is pretty insane.
But competition's too stiff for them to be able to do it again.
Right. And that the question is, it's like, so I mean, that must mean that we all kind of think that A side was a little bit weaker than the B side, maybe giving them a little bit nicer matchups. I think that's nothing to take away from Toronto. We have them losing it around 9 to Ultra in the grand final, basically. So it's really, really close. So, all right. Intelligent or relevant, it's that time of night, about that time. Boy. So without further ado, let's get right into it. See how dumb you guys are. Let's go.
The ability to speak does not make you intelligent.
All righty. Sam, lay it on us. What do we got?
All right. So, question was proposed. Which team in the first round of the losers bracket going to make the farthest run in the major? So this is
the first 4 teams.
LAG, Surge, London, or Paris.
London. I mean, you got to imagine the people said London.
London's got to be it.
You got to be it. I mean, Paris has got to have the lowest one for sure.
Yeah.
Well,
LAG could be LAG could be a number 1 pick too. Also,
really? No, I think it's either Seattle or Paris is the. Oh, yeah. I get what you're saying. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Let's see what the people have to say.
Yeah. So I'm gonna vote for Paris because
I think
guarantee. Yep, London 48%.
Okay.
And it's interesting. Second place is actually Surge, 26%.
Really?
LAG 20%.
The Paris, improvement from Decimate, 6%. I guess. All right. So what do the people have to say maybe to reply there?
Let's see. Evo Hordez. London is going to be able to be dominant in all 3 game modes, unlike the other 3 teams who struggles in at least one of the modes.
That's fair.
Okay.
They are the most balanced team for sure out of those 4.
Yep. Scoopsy. I really wish I could say Surge, but London has just been looking much better. Plus, Seattle would have to play OpTic if they beat LAG. I've seen.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Then one more. Let's go for DVDDY Music. London has looked much better as of late and have been improving as a squad. I have lost faith in Seattle and Paris. I'm also confident that LAG will never make a run with their.
Alrighty, makes sense. Some interesting takes there from the boys. So overall, I'll give it a little stamp of intelligence. Yeah. I mean, you gotta like the London squad, and so it should be interesting. again, this would be very on brand of Paris to like just ruin their hopes game one, and then they win, and then boom, now it's like, all right, here we are. You know, it'd be very on brand. So we'll see. It should be a fun one, man. I'm excited to see what you guys have to say in the comments down below. But it's going to be interesting. Drop a comment on YouTube, drop a review on Apple Podcasts. You know, I'm Josh, SalvationsElite. To my right is Bash_Bo3 Sam. To our farthest right is Rex Shady Nero. And guys, this has been the Best of 3 Call of Duty Esports podcast. And guys, we will see you next time. We out.